Okay, so sleep is a concept that I don't seem to understand at all, so we're going to do more videos here. Now, for a note, for people to understand what I mean by that, I haven't slept yet and since yesterday morning. So, yeah, gonna keep going here. And what we're gonna work on is I want to tweak the GUI for the local controller a bit and try to improve its functionality before I go on converting more content to the newer node system. Now, in the last video, we went ahead and we converted the controller to the node system, and it's going to get even more love here eventually to beat down some of this code, so that way we're not looking at almost a 401 line program. Always that's a 401 line. I think there's a space at the end. Yeah, there was a space at the end of there. I think IntelliJ is supposed to auto clear those, but something didn't happen appropriately. So when we converted this, we removed the auto connect feature. What I want to do is add that back into the GUI so you can click a button and it'll auto connect. I then want to work on adding an unlink button. I've already put the button in here. We're going to have to position it though, and then we're going to have to add a packet handler to that. So we're going to have to add some kind of code. And while I'm sitting here also doing this, I've been trying to think of how to make this a JSON system. I'm going to have to spend huge amounts of time prefabbing things out in order to actually pull that off, because what's going to happen is I'm going to have components, and there's going to be subcomponents and subcomponents and all kinds of little weird things. So the main thing, the reason I was thinking about that is we have this for loop here, which actually initializes our buttons. So you would have your launcher button, which you click to edit your settings, and then you have your fire button, which actually does your firing of your missiles. This would be really hard to do in JSON because you are essentially creating two components per each loop and then initializing with a ton of data. Like we have names being initialized in here, so you'd have to have some way to access names. You'd have to have some way to figure out which button's which, and the JSON system is not quite designed to do this. I don't think it ever will be. So what we might end up having to do is create a GUI system with JSON, then create some kind of listener that would listen in on the button creation, then initialize the button with a name is how we'd have to do the JSON system for GUIs. On top of being able to switch, though if I convert to the JSON system, I'm probably just going to make two GUIs and then design the GUI so they understand how to switch back and forth between each other. So you'll be like GUI ID 1 and there'll be GUI ID 2 and so on and so on. A few other things. I'm trying to think if I just want to go ahead and kill off this lower part here and then start using the Silo's actual editor screen. If you guys have seen the actual editor screen, it's the one where you can stick the remote detonator into it and it will function. What I could do is I could just set that screen up so that way the remote detonator option doesn't show up in the screen and then you can't encode things. It'll just be like, oh, you can't stick anything in that slot, which would work. Trying to think of what else we can do here with that. It's about the only thing, because let's just go ahead and launch the game and get the unlink button configured real quick. I do already have the packet handling sort of set up over here. If we scroll down and find it, so the slots are here. So here's our connect packet, and then there's our remove packet. And we have to code them still, so we're gonna do that in this video. The remove packet, by the way, is pretty easy. By the way, we apparently already have a packet for this. I wonder if there's already a button for this and I'm just a little dumb and have not been paying attention. Or do we have a... It says we have a handler for that. But I don't think we actually have anything that fires packet ID 1. Okay, so we have... This is our main screen GUI system, which is actually how we fire our stuff and access our editors. Then we have button 0 and button 1. So we have no packet for this, but we already have a handler for it. So I'm going to actually just do this real quick, and we're going to remove this, and this will be remove remove connection. So it's there. It's just I don't think there's anything that fires that. And it physically removes the launcher by calling with the location data. But I don't see anything in here for that. Because it would have to be in here, because this is where all action form. Every time you click a button, it comes through this spot right here. Of course, there's also a delay right there, which is not even really useful, to be honest. That even work? Yeah, I guess it does last click time down here. Okay, there's a set target. By the way, the set target system of the launchers is a packet handling system, so we're literally setting the target client side, and that sets the thing server side. Forewarning, that actually probably could be abused. I'm probably gonna fix this here later. I gotta make sure that as much as possible is handled appropriately. I'll figure out if there's a way to check this. Right now I'm not too concerned about it, because it would just be a second packet to fix this, and you would just start confirming location data, and I'm on speakers still. I switched to speakers when I'm not actually working, because I got told by somebody that having headphones on all day, it's bad for you, and considering how often my head hurts, yeah, I believe them on that one. Probably something to do with the headphones crushing your head, because I mean the headphones I'm wearing are not exactly designed for somebody with my size of head, and I've been dealing with that for a while, giving really no craps about it. Okay, so here's our GUI. We open here. Here's our editor screen. Of course, the editor, the unlink button's there. The screen I'm talking about, if we can get the stuff for it, the one I'm thinking about just starting to use. If we remove this, throw that stuff over there, throw that over there, is the command connector system. So this is command controller. This thing, that, link that to that, link that to that, link that to that. So you open this up, click refresh, click the silo. We got a much nicer looking system here. Little nice back button, little save button. You open up this one, not as nice looking. This one, really nice looking. And what we could simply do is we could just black these out so these aren't functional, and just recycle this GUI, because it looks so much nicer. And this GUI is implemented by the launcher, so each launcher could have its own little unique GUI. And I think that we just want to use that. I need to fix the error text that's down here, though. That's something that actually does need to be fixed. I need to start using... So the thing is, this GUI needs to be recycled over here. And what I also need to do is I need to make it so that the local controller can act as a display. So if you connect to a command controller here, you act as a display, and it'll look same style GUI. So kind of want to do the same things. I like this little online thing. We get the tooltip. You go like, oh yeah, we're online. We could totally see the tile. And then I gotta definitely fix the haircut. I gotta make it stick around a little longer too, so I can actually read it. I need to make the fire buttons also gray out if there's no missile in the tube. I think I had some problems with the fire button though. I think it's the reason why it's the way it is. Yeah. So I want to take this GUI and I want to mirror it over here. Basically the entire layout, including that synchronization button. I also want to add scroll bars to this because it'd look a little nicer. A little bit of a black silhouette behind here. Let's go take a look at this. So this would be underneath display, GUI silo display. Now this is a really complicated system that actually still needs a lot of work. And you can tell as it's got a lot more code in here than the other one has. I spent basically an entire week making this work this way. As you can tell, there's a lot of stuff in here. The remote launch system is actually decently complicated for something as simple as just launching a missile. And I think I noted this in a couple video demos I made. I didn't record myself making this because this was predates before I made these recordings a lot. Now I'm basically recording everything. But let's take a look at a few of these parts here. So we have our next buttons. We also have our page buttons. So you notice there's no page buttons. Those would show up, I believe. Actually, no, those show up right here, I believe. So you got your left and right page. Left and right page is you cycling between these. The bigger page things is you're cycling between these things, which is their command silos. If you had multiple of these connected, you could cycle between them. So you could create a linked up system of multiple missile command centers, so you can have multiple different sites connected together and then fire things. I need to find the section that actually does the real work. So here's our plus and minus. This is our scroll button right now. We actually do need to replace it with a scroll bar here later. And we are looking for this part right here. So these are initialized by a certain amount. So we get like a huge gap in buttons. And the same thing goes down here, huge gap in buttons. Row plus plus. Is that even used anywhere else? Yeah, highlight that, it'll actually show up. Yeah. Okay, so we basically just want to copy this whole piece here. We're gonna have to modify it a bit, but it'll get us what we want, which is a much nicer looking. I'm in the wrong class file. So we want to replace this section here. Just replace the entire for loop. There we go. Okay, so we have quite a few things to correct here. Okay, one, we need to figure out what the hell index is. Okay, index is most likely our scroll pane. We don't need to worry about that, so this is going to be 0, because we're not going to have an up and down scroll. So be controller dot launch data dot size, and there should be a static variable here of the number of GUIs we can show at one time. I think it's 6. Someone tells me it was hard coded too. Apparently, yeah. So this will be, we'll just do 6. We'll figure out if we can make it look a little bit nicer. Wow, this isn't translated. So, huh. I do want this though. iSilo connection data. I'm guessing this is not what we're using. Okay, so how is this storing information? So it's got a connection status system. I didn't really document how I wrote this. That is starting to become very obvious. So the connection data system is storing a lot of information about the silos. So it's a name, the actual silo itself, the missile, the status, it does the opening of the GUI. So we're going to have to modify quite a few things to get this to work. Probably going to break half of it in the process, but that's development for you. So we want to modify launcher data, and we want to start using whatever this is using. Which is probably probably is launcher data. Actually, I don't think it is. So we go silo connection data. So we're going to move this out to controller. Yeah, we want that to stay in the main class. And we want to basically get rid of launcher data, because launcher data just stored the pods and the missile. This stores the location, the launcher, and I think it actually grabs the missile from it each time. Yeah, it does a few different things. The opening the GUI part is the one I want. Okay, so we get rid of launcher data. This will mean we need to switch to iSilo connection data. Okay, I need to bring the launcher data back if it'll let me. Let's see how this worked. Okay, so it wrote to MBT. Wrote that as a double. Wrote the missile to MBT, which I have no clue why you even do that. That's a lot of extra data. Okay, so what we want to do is when we go to rewrite this part, so if we want to go has key launcher data, we want to convert to the old system, or convert to the new system from the old system. The only part we want to extract is the location. We don't care about the missile. So this will be MBT tag compound tag equals a tag there, or this is going to be, I'll call it data. Okay, so we want to get double x, so data dot get double. So we're basically going to be pulling the location, and then we're going to resave the location as the new system. So this will be launcher data dot add. How does the silo interface get it? Okay, so we got controller data, which is stored as basically a pause. That's nice. That's probably how it's cached locally. We don't need such a huge set of things. What we want to know is how we get this, which actually is probably stored in this class, which is apparently stored in the command controller. So this gets connectors. So connectors are probably what actually stores the connection data. So we get position to data, pretty much, and we get silo data. So I want to know how silo data is saved. Man, this is a complicated system. So let's see. Okay, so we literally just convert it from BT. So at least we know how we're loading it. So we're just going to copy, yeah, we'll copy this piece. So we're going to go else if oh, we're doing the packet system right now. I feel stupid. Oh well. So this will be tag. So we're sitting here trying to convert an older thing, and I need to go find the load method. Oh, we literally just store launcher locations. that's how we're keeping track of our launchers. So we just store location data. Then iSilo connection is how we do that. So we don't need this system. Don't need that. Tag. What we want to do is launcher data.add, and then we just need launcher data. I don't think it really cares about the alternative here. So that'll do that system. If we're only storing locations, then we don't really have to do anything else. The trick is, how are the two handled? So when is the launcher data created? Okay. I have a feeling this is client side only. So it's get launchers. This is recreated. So where is this called from? Do update, get launchers. So connection data. So this whole entire system here, yeah, there's a note right here that says it's only used on the client. Yeah, should have saw that one coming. That means we're pretty much good. That means we just have to update our GUIs here. So means we don't actually need these technically, although I'm going to hold on to them for the second because they're translated. So that means what I could do is get the type pretty much. I think, how is this handled? Because I know these both basically render exactly the same. Yeah. It just does the same exact thing down here. So, what did I just do? Oh yeah, here we go. So this will be basically silo label for the moment. So what we want to do is we want to go and figure out exactly what the launcher is. So we go data dot get silo is instance of. Do all the silos share the same class? I don't think they do. They all extend abstract launcher. However, I think the launchers do extend abstract launch pad. So what we want to do is go with instance of tile abstract launch pad. And then we want to use launcher label. If not, we want to use the other thing. And we do it this way really quick, so this will fix itself. And this actually needs to be that. There we go. That'll change the front name and it's translated, so it should work. We'll come up with some kind of interface or something we put on here. Okay, we need to copy the connection statuses. By the way, that no longer exists. And this is going to have to be something else. I think it's... Is there not some location? Huh. Of course, you're going to be difficult on me. It is an iWorld position, so we could actually just get its location straight out. So this would be iWorld position. Actually, you know what? We can do this way. So new location, import class. Oh wait, we need to do pause. There we go. We gotta, you know what, this whole bottom thing, I think we already said we're gonna remove it. Still haven't handled how we're gonna do unlinking though. So that means we're gonna have to add a button on the main GUI if we remove the editor tab. So we're gonna remove the editor tab. Do that. Means we got rid of that code. We don't have an editor mode anymore, so we can get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of our fields here, because we don't need them anymore. Okay, so we're gonna have to add some things here real quick, but I need to step away for 1 second. I'll be right back. Alright, apologies for that short interruption. Okay, so we can get back to working on this. So our GUIDs should be prefixed by a certain amount. And you know what, I'm going to go really quickly, open this up. I want to see how many we actually have linked-wise. So this should be the GUI local controller. Somewhere in here on one of the remove lines, we should see the actual length of the array. So it's launcher data times size times 2. Launcher data then that theoretically has a max size. So we gotta go find our local controller. I'm actually gonna close some of these real quick. Okay, max launcher length. So that's actually, we want this variable then. So instead of doing it this way, actually we want, oh, you know what? That's actually conveniently got a system in there. So this will be tile local controller that max lengths. Cool thing about this is we can prefix our GUI system here. So this will be 10 plus I plus maximum number. Because then we know that, say we want to display 6 buttons, which is what we're doing. Our first button is going to be 10. Our next button is going to be 16. And what should happen, I'm going to really quickly just do this real quick. So we have 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Is that 6? Yeah, we should get those IDs, and then this one should have 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I typed that in wrong there. There we go. So that's going to be our IDs down here, and you can see they're offset from each other, so we don't have to worry about them being a problem. Why? I don't get why these are separated from each other. Why these are added down here instead of... There's a reasoning for it, but I'm not sure what it is. Okay, so now when we come down here, we need to figure out what our button IDs are. So we're going to do greater than equal than 10 is our first ID. And then we want to make sure we're less than 10 plus this. So we're less than, not 16 quite. Plus this times 2. That should mean, yeah, 22. Yeah, that'll work. So then we want to go, this minus 10 is what we're checking against. So that means if our button ID is 10 and we come down here and we're looking for entry number 0, then we should get entry number 0, which is opening the editor GUI. Should probably get rid of editing mode, editing missile. Get rid of those two. What we want to do is open a certain GUI. So we got to come over here, and we got to check something. I want to see what exactly it does to handle things. Oh, we need to add our tooltips. Almost forgot to do that. So here's our tooltips. Tooltips have to be added separately because there's no like helper class that does it manually. It's the reason why you don't see a lot of tooltips on a lot of my GUIs. It's just a pain in the butt to add. I'll get around to it eventually. Okay, so action performed, somewhere in here is how we handle it. Okay, next, previous refresh, request silo data. Okay, that's how, that's the initialize. Okay, we call open silo GUI is how we do this. And then there's fire silo. So we actually need to handle both of these. So we want to go down here, and we call controller.fireSilo. But in this case, it's actually doing the same exact thing. It's calling the silo interface. This is using the index system. The reason I'm doing this real quick is I need the ID down here. Okay. So we don't want to initialize here. We want to fire it down here. Okay, we don't need this whole thing. Because how this works is we're essentially getting the tile location so that way we can fire whatever is going on. All we need to do is just go controller dot. Basically need to make a duplicate method. So open silo GUI. And this will be packet handled, of course. And then we just need to pass in the player and the ID. Create method. There we go. This actually needs to be entity player, I think. We'll have to go find really quickly where the other method is. Okay, so they're right here. There is no firewall launcher button even though we actually have the functionality for it. So the index is what we want, and then we get the player. So we're just going to copy this real quick, and then rather than firing it, we don't actually have to get this whole system now. Okay, so we need to actually start to store the connection data right now, not just the launcher locations. So this actually needs to be a new, new array thing. And I need to make both these final so you can't delete them. Okay. Okay, so we're not actually trying to fire a missile, so we don't want this part. We actually don't even want this part or this part. Same for up here. I actually am going to go ahead and remove all this code because we're going to... Oh, actually, we need the logging. Oh, no, we don't need logging. I think it's handled by the connection thing. So we don't want launcher locations. We want launcher data. Okay, so that was Blarg. So when we go and we call get launchers, what we want to do is populate a list here. So we want to get launcher data. Okay. This will be iSilo connection data. And we're going to actually rename this real quick. So we want to go, okay, if launcher data dot is empty or launcher data dot size does not equal launcher locations dot size. And then this also needs to be prefixed by is server because we don't want to be recreating our stuff client side. We just want to get whatever we have. So we go launcher data dot clear because we want to get rid of whatever launcher data we currently have, and then we just want to go launcher data dot add. Instance of iLauncher. So I'm going to go tile entity tile equals pause.get tile entity world. So we're gonna, I'm just gonna recreate this real quick from scratch. Import class. If tile is instance of iLauncher. Then we would go else if tile instance of I tile node host and tile dot get node instance of iLauncher. So then we would go launcher data dot add new silo connection data. And then we just want to pass in the launcher pretty much because that's apparently what this is capable of doing. So that'll save me a bit of time. Okay. And what we're going to do is down here we want to get launcher data. This will be iSilo connection data, and we're just literally going to pop it to a list. So this will be data dot save new tag compound. That should handle everything. And we're sending that via launcher data. Oh, apparently we renamed this to silo data now. So this needs to be set to silo data. Where's my write description pack? Or this is read. I should have a write method here somewhere. I guess I don't. I guess this technically is my write method. So this would be packet 0, packet 0. I need to actually start initializing these all with the IDs. So this will be public static final int GUI packet ID equals 0. Reasoning behind doing this is it just clarifies things. There's actually no other reason than that, just to make things easier to read. And I'll get the other ones here later. The GUI packet was the only one I really cared about right now, is because it just clarifies that that is what it is. Okay, I don't see anything else. Technically, I need to send a GUI packet when that's open, but it should handle itself before the GUI even finishes opening. Okay. So we got our launcher data. So what I'm going to do is launcher data dot get index dot. Oh, there's supposed to be a fire silo button here. So fire silo. Okay, here's the part I did not grab. Okay. This will be iSilo connection data equals this dot get. If data doesn't equal null. Data dot get silo. Cool. This should work perfectly fine. And then what I need to do is also kind of prefab and abstract this out, because if we're writing code in two different places, the fire silos, there probably should be some kind of common method that handles this. That way, every time we make a new controller, every time we make a new launcher or something, we handle it. Yeah, so that's what we need, and then we just basically need to duplicate this. Actually, you know what? I can just go and find where the open GUI method is in here. Okay, so we want this pretty much. Actually, we want this part. So just put over here, and put that right there. Actually, cancel, because I misclicked when I did that. Okay. So I'm going to go data doesn't equal null. Is that like a... Okay, a lot of this stuff we actually don't need, apparently. So really what we need is if data doesn't equal null. And then data has GUI setting, and then data open. And then of course it's got a controller, so I connection point. I guess I can implement that. I connection point implements methods, get silo connection data, get connection group string. And a actually this means I can just do this real quick and I can get rid of this whole method and then put it down here. This actually theoretically means that when you go to do this whole thing, the command silo probably can connect to these things now. So let me look at this real quick. So we got the command silo connector. Maybe not. It does apparently directly check for these things. Get silo connectors. Okay, so it actually keeps a direct set of those. Or list of linked silo connectors commence. Okay, yeah, we're good there. So we don't have to worry about it accidentally connecting to our local controller. And then we just pass in this. Open GUI, opening tile. This will be get host apparently. That actually won't work. So we need to change this to an object. And hit build because it's going to crash, more than likely. There's a reason why that is probably get host. What was opened? Oh, here we go. Open GUI. So we encode the opening tile and the connector. So we have a returning GUI to open up. We're going to have to test that. There's a high likelihood that will probably crash for reasons. We're going to hit build and we're going to make project real quick just to make sure everything is going to compile. Hopefully we didn't break everything horribly bad. Okay, so I need to open up our local GUI again. So we're now down to calling open silo, calling this. Probably some handling I need to add real quick. So I need to go find... Is it really the command silo that handles all this stuff? I don't think it is. So let's open the display again, and we're going to worm our way through the code. So when we call open silo GUI, we're opening the silo interface client, which sends a packet. So we need to actually do that and set up a packet handling system. Right now we should automatically have one for the fire silo one. So if we go to local controller, then we just need to handle that system. Sympacket index -1. Packet IDs. So these have packet IDs. So this will be 3. That's what we're going to be sending here. What is packet ID on the server number 3? I don't think we have one. This client is server number 3. This is going to be open silo GUI. So we read the index in, and then we call open GUI silo index player. That should work. Let's read over the local controller real quick to make sure we got everything set up. Let's cache these real quick into the constructor. And what we'll do is we'll put them up here, set them to be basically empty, and then you just initialize them. And these will be private final. Because your translation strings aren't going to change any, so you don't need to keep changing them as long as the GUI is open, but you probably want to reload them. You can cache them. I mean, these really don't matter too much. We'll go ahead and store both of them for the moment. What would it end up being is there would be probably some place I want to store these, and then every time the localizations are reloaded, I would reload them. But for the moment, it doesn't matter too much. Display string. Data.get silo name does not equal null. Okay, we need to actually append this. Actually, you know what we need to do? This needs to be a value. String silo prefix equals. And then we can put this in multiple places, and it's a little bit more stable that way. And by stable, I mean I don't have to keep redoing something over and over again. I'm definitely using the wrong words there. But early in the morning, I haven't slept any. I have excuses. Fire button needs to be translated. Yeah, needs to be translated. I don't know why it's not translated. I have a feeling like it was already translated. Let me go look at the local controller here, which we have been editing, and see if I can find the previous fire button, and I'm pretty sure it was translated at some point. We're looking for the red space is what we're looking for. Button list.add, wow, buttons. Button name. Where's button name? Button name, okay, that's a silo. You are probably one of the worst Git tools I've ever had. Yeah, it was translated. I have no clue why nothing else is translated on the other GUI, but we're going to really quickly hop over here and translate the fire button. And then we'll get this in a second here. Just have to go back over here and copy and paste it. Yeah, so we're going to have to cache. It's going to be a little annoying having to recache these every time I need them. That's where I'm definitely going to probably make a global spot for a lot of these translation keys. Because actually caching them will actually improve performance just a little bit. Not a huge amount, but that's ever a little bit small amount that makes a difference in the long run. I gotta resize this GUI. Okay, here we go. I hate source tree's system. It sucks so much, but it's one of the better Git clients you can get. It's what happens when you have no competition. Stuff stagnates and then gets really bad. I have a feeling like I need to trim the size of this based on factors. Because the launcher and silo name length are actually two separate links, and I think this is the reason why I never got around to handling this, is that it'll change the maximum length if it's a launcher. I'll have to work on that though. It's not too big of an issue. Back to looking at this. So, I mean, it looks good. So we know what buttons we're going to have. We know the IDs aren't going to conflict. We know we're going to get all this stuff. What's really going to come down to is the packet handling works correctly, and then the opening GUI works correctly. So we're going to run debug, and hopefully nothing crashes. And man, we're at an hour already. Definitely need more practice with recordings. Get these times down. Gonna probably have to start doing what other YouTubers do and just start planning out my videos, which I don't see happening. I'm not one of the type of people that plans things out. My version is I have a dream and then I move forward towards that dream. That's literally it. There's no plan, there's no roadmap. The irony is I really do need a roadmap. And the closest I've got is doodles, drawings, notes. Some of you who are supporters of Patreon have probably seen on the Google Docs I do have a lot of notes on what I want to do, but not how to execute that actions. Which is somewhat problematic because it's the main reason why I think most of my interns that I pick up don't really stick around for long, is that they need some kind of roadmap to follow. And it's kind of hard to do that, and I really don't have time to sit there and micromanage them. And I don't have time to make roadmaps at the moment. maybe when I get everything updated, everything cleaned up, finally get through my to-do list far enough, maybe I'll start building roadmaps to show where we're going to build new content and everything. As I have a general idea of what I want to do, as I said. So I know I want to add a whole bunch more launchers. I want to add more control panels. I want to add tons of more rocket types, like unimaginable amount of rocket types. I want to do an add-on for ICBM that tries to cover every existing rocket on the planet. So everything from the very first rockets and then all the way to the modern ones. So I want to do a lot of the World War II rockets that were made. And we're not talking about just the big missiles the Nazis made, so the V1 and V2 and whatever else they made. But I'm talking about like rockets fired from Russian artillery, naval rockets that were used in the Pacific. Because they kind of fit in the mod and they kind of work. And I don't know if I'm going to actually do all of these in ICBM. I actually feeling I'm going to probably do most of these in Armory mod because it's just as capable. Why did you change rotations? Oh, well. We're missing the render. The back button doesn't work. Bugger. Okay. Action performed. Return to previous GUI. Okay, sends a packet to the server. Packet ID is 25. There's no automated way of doing this. That's because our first entry should be. Let me go in. Open the the GUI opening is done on this one, I think. Fire, open open GUI. Okay, so that means that's handled on the connection data. I think it's what that is though. If we go back to this real quick, I think if we do this instance of and it's just player dot open GUI, pretty much. Except this would be, this needs to be cached. This just needs to be an object. Object tile equals. This is why it actually checks for this, is because there's no easy way to get the location. So what we will need to do and tile instance of I world position. It would pretty much be tile.world, tile.xi, tile.yi, and then tile.zi. So that should cover it opening. So if we go like this, then okay, it's still not working. Trying to decide if maybe it's not encoding properly, but that doesn't sound right. Oh, you know what? It's because the packet ID is not right. Shit. And there's there's no way to handle that. There's literally no procedural way. I would have to make something to handle that. Oh shoot. So we're just gonna have to do it the hard way. Else if tile is instance of tile local controller, then I want this real quick. Because this will validate, but this has to be 1. That's the problem, is there's just no way to determine what this is. There's actually a default call here. Get default ID. See tile dot. This has to be cast IGUI tile, and this won't fix the issue either for those who are being like, why aren't you just doing it with that? It's because we intentionally set up our system so that way there is no default GUI when you try to open a tile. Why, it's still not working? I reloaded this, right? Okay. Tile entity wrapped. Shh. I can fix this. Okay, so I need to go here, scroll up. This needs to be at this. I need to hit play. That actually won't fix that, so hit play again. Okay, fixed. Okay, so we need to fix the encoding button. Not that you can actually do anything with this. We need to fix the rendering there. We need to move that launcher name up there. And we're probably going to put an unlink button here is what I'm actually probably going to do with this space. That's probably why this has that, no, that has that space because that button's up there. Get rid of these. Goodbye. Someone tells me that missile wasn't rendering. I'll probably have to go look at that bug later. The reason I blew all those up is I need some launchers. Stupid multi-blocks. I need to fix those. Okay. Click. I will invent an easier way to do this. For those that are watching is like, why is it so hard? It is hard because there literally is no easier way to do it. Okay, max limit reach. This is what I wanted to see, is I want to see all the max tile. So we can fit 2 more down here if we want to, or we can just shift the whole GUI down, which is what I think I'm going to do. Anyways, connect. By the way, relinking is how you remove things right now. But I'm going to make a GUI solution for it because that's what I want to do. Okay, there we go. Okay, I need this thing. There we go. And it still thinks there's a tile attached. Okay, so this is what I want to see. I want to see what this looked like. So this will actually fill the entire page as much as possible. That first tile did not link properly. There's a high possibility it's just going to be permanently stuck in there, which means that we need to create some kind of remove button. I really want to put the remove button on this page. But the problem with this is the fact is you can link multiple silos to multiple connectors. See, we're linked over here, we're linked over there. That is intentional. Multi-blocks are just so annoying. A lot of bugs I've got to fix still. Alright, so we want to adjust the tile render. Luckily we know the stuff works, so we can get to the tiles, we can do things. We need to check to see if the fire button works in a second. Um, I closed the wrong sheet thing. Okay, I want this. So we want to shift everything down. So int x equals 0, int y equals 0. I guess I want to shift things left or right too. Okay, so x is not 10. That's 36. This is 10, so y is 10. So we can do y is 10 right there, so we can remove a bit of constant out of there. So we want to make x 36. So we can just put x right here. But I need to get what 117 minus 36 is, and that's 81. And here's y. And then we're going to do x minus 26 to get that result. And that, if we reload, and of course we're going to have to reopen the GUI. Luckily we don't have it open still. Thou has done goofed somewhere. Thou has messed up the handling. Okay, there we go. Still not rendering those though. That's okay. We can fix that. So that'll be in display, GUI display, and that's in one of the render methods, most likely render background. Draw background. Okay, here is our render method. And that's the enum icon sheet jet draw, so that's cool. We don't have to really worry about how that renders. We just have to add it to the GUI. Foreground, draw background, cool, we already have that handled. And I'm not going to move anything. We'll just put it there so we can see it real quick. Really, schema's not... Goddamn optimization code. The reason why that failed, and I've been working on this theory for a while, is I just put something in an empty method. I think Java optimized and cleared that empty method out of there, and by putting code in there, it's no longer empty. Therefore, Java's like, you know what? You're not allowed to move that. Anyways, we're going to do this. Put this stuff up here. And we're going to actually label these. So this is going to be called button row X. Why are you trying to edit? These have nothing to do with that. I hate IntelliJ sometimes when it does that. Because it's like, hey, we found comments that contain the letter Y. We're going to refactor those for you because we think they're involved in this code. Nothing in this code is at all related to that. It does not take a genius to understand that. But it clearly IntelliJ thinks you need to be a genius to understand that. Okay, so we're doing this real quick because this will allow us to shift it around. It won't really allow us to do it in real time, but we'll figure it out from there. So we got that. So we want to add another button to this. That's the reason why we kept the 10 shift, is we want to add more buttons. We want to add more controls, more functionality. So we want to add an ability to unlink. So we're going to do that. We're going to put this down here. Controller, and we're going to call this unlink. So we're going to make sure this is translated from the start. And we don't care what our connection status is. And we want this to show up, say another 36 from the that button. And how big do we want to make these? There's a row height thing going on here. Make a static variable here, so this will be no, we can't do that. That's a procedurally. Actually, we can do that. Just I need to move where it's at. To be int row height. Oh shoot! I copied the wrong variable. So we do that real quick. And that means we don't have to recalculate, because we're recalculating it 3 times. And Java will optimize this for us automatically, but it'll take a few runs before it'll do it. And we can just save Java the trouble by pre-optimizing it for us, or pre-optimizing ahead of time. Yeah, looks good. And then unlink button is designed to unlink. We're going to want to increment these, so we're going to just do ×2 here. So we'll now get the ID set of basically 12 will be prefixed on front of this, so we'll start at 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 is what our IDs will be down here. We got to get the positioning correct, which means we're going to have to move things around. Probably going to have to shift the GUI a little bit to the left, but it should not be a problem. The biggest problem is going to be down here, is we now have a new issue. Is now our ID, so our ID needs to be less than this value. And then our next set we're doing, which is just going to be an else loop, is unlink. So we want to unlink ID, and then we need to pass in the player because, well, that's just how we're doing things at the moment. And then we want to create method, tile local controller, copy the whole thing, drag it all the way up to where the rest of our stuff is. And then we just want to basically do what we did here. Add a new number here, index. So we need to make sure it's inside of our index. We need to make sure the data is not null. And then we just want to go, actually we don't care about the data. We want to go launcherdata.remove index. Really simple. And nope, I need to undo some things here. I do need to check if it's null. Okay, so we are going to still remove it down here, even if it's null or not, but launcher locations dot remove index. We're going to go pause equals launcher locations dot get index. And what we want to do is we're going to go, okay, if pos.xi equals data.xi. So basically we're confirming location data. So we're just going to go, if these are in the same exact location with each other, so if everything matches, then we're going to just go, okay, then we're good for deletion. If not, we're not going to delete it because it's not the right tile, and then if it's not the right tile, if it's else, then we need to recreate launcher data. Because what's going on is that we're storing the locations because that's the easiest way for us to load and save from MBT. Because we don't want to really cache the silo data, although, all honestly, do we, you know what? Let's just get rid of that. We don't have to keep track of all that bullshit. So we just do this. So we want to go if launcher data does not contain pos, which is actually not going to work. You know what? We gotta put that all back. I need the launcher data just for the simplest, most possible thing ever, and that's just comparing locations. So we'll leave that to-do mark there so we can recreate, and then we just need some packet data. So what packet are we using again? It's unlink, and then we're using packet 4. This is where we really should be naming our packet IDs. So server, and then else packet. And then just copy this. This will be unlink. And by the way, the reason why we're holding track of the player and stuff on here is a security measure to figure out if the packet came from a valid player, is we can check if the player is nearby the launcher. If you're getting packets and the player is nowhere close to that launcher, then he's cheating and doing stuff that he's not supposed to do. And I'll probably throw some debug out and be like, hey, this person is doing fishy things. Even though I don't really like the idea of snitching, if somebody's fucking with you, you need to kind of know that they are messing with you. This will work. Should handle everything. So we got our handling right there. And let me just think of this one through real quick. So that'd be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will be this right here. And this will be 6 through 9, I believe. So it'd be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, no, it's actually 11 is where it stops. Okay, and then this will be up past that. And the reason those numbers don't match up here, if you guys are paying attention, we prefix by 10, we minus by 10 down here to get the actual index we want to pop up. Speaking of which, this needs to be minused by this value, or the index would be incorrect. And this needs to be minused by this times 2 to get the correct index. Good thing we were paying attention to that, because that's times 2. Reason why that's times 2 is times by this would be 6, so you have to be less than 6. This needs to be less than 12. Less than 12, less than whatever times 3 is, so 18. Because if this is 12, then it'd be 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18? No, that'd be 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, yeah, I'm right. It's less than 18. I just miscounted on that first part. So we know that, and this will be less than data length. Actually, you know what? This actually needs to be just literally this. This would be less than 6. The reason why I did that is because they would hit this, and they would hit this, and it would actually unlink whatever tile was unfortunately in that spot. Actually, this would hit the server, and it would just do nothing because it would be a negative number. Handles itself, but this is better. Then we get our last click time. The reason why we keep track of last click time is so you can't double click, although this should be Minecraft update system time. What the hell is that? Is that the number of ticks? Guess the time in milliseconds. Oh, that's just milliseconds. So it's 2 milliseconds. Human response time is 50 milliseconds, I think, if I recall right. So that'll work, because that prevents you from double clicking, so you can't double click fire, you can't double click something. It helps the GUIs. This was made because of a buddy of mine, or I actually refrain from calling buddy, but Zero the Liger has a macro that he keeps on his mouse that he can spam click 1,000 times a tick. And because I saw him do that, I have designed most of my stuff to ensure that there's a minimum click time, so that way you can't overload a server with packets. Because what he can do, and this has actually crashed my computer a few times, is he can spam click that skeleton statue from I think it's, no, it's not Extra Utilities. I think it's Open Computers. No, Open Blocks is what it comes from. That thing will fire an arrow every time you click it. So if he clicks 1,000 times a tick, there's 1,000 arrows instantly in the air. And yeah, imagine multiple ticks him clicking that, and then you overload the memory on somebody's computer. And if you're thinking this way from a server's perspective, the packet spam by itself of the clicks will overload a server. And he actually has crashed servers that way. So yeah, needless to say, that was implemented just for him. And where were we at? We need to test things. So we need to just launch at this moment and just kind of work on testing because we're at 1:20 on the recording, and I still haven't uploaded the other recordings yet. I'll be uploading those as soon as I'm done with this. Well, not that it matters for you guys watching this recording, because you'll watch this recording hours after it's done uploading. Maybe even years, depending on how long this video stays on YouTube. I mean, I don't ever plan to remove videos, but who knows what YouTube will do in the future. They've been reacting weird to just a little bit of everything. I mean, I got such a low subscriber count that I'm going to be off their radar for pretty much forever unless I get a higher subscriber count. But there's a high likelihood that they'll start, I wouldn't call it censoring, but removing content that they don't feel is necessary. Now, this video may not qualify, but there could be a day when they start removing things just because they're too old. They might just start removing videos with low view count that are just a couple years old and be like, yeah, your video doesn't need to be there, nobody's watching it. And they'll just archive it. Start taking it off their cache servers. Who knows what they'll do. I don't pay attention enough to actually even understand what they're planning. All I know is I've heard recently they're starting to take away some of the ad revenue systems, which is really unfortunate for some of us really low subscriber YouTubers. We didn't make money before, we're definitely not going to make money after that. All the money I've gotten from Google has been from my AdSense account, which is from my website, although we removed ads off our website, so I'm not making money off that anymore. We'll probably be throwing ads back up there eventually. Not sure when. You guys don't want the ads to throw up ad blocker. I'm not going to tell you no. It's been suggested to me by a few people to put one of those little things up there that's annoying that goes, hey, you're using ad blocker, remove it. I'm like, I really don't care. The ads are there as a supplement, not as a mandatory thing. They're meant to supplement the lack of profit that we have. Cool. Everything's broken. There's a song for that too. So this is fixable. We want to replace this over here with an icon. I'm actually going to really quickly change what that's named, and I'm going to remove the localization. I'm just going to replace it with an X button. People will understand what an X button means. If they don't, they'll figure out pretty quickly that that deletes your link, which doesn't work, so we'll have to fix that. I don't even have any idea what's causing that to fail. Connection status.size. We're not clearing our connection status every time we reload. Connection status.clear. There we go. A init GUI is being called each tick, and I'm kind of confused why. Reload data. Oh, there's a yeah, reload data, which reload data will be in reinitializing the GUI every so often. I guess that makes sense. Okay, so we need to move the whole thing down. So I want to change the Y value, and I want to drop it down by, say, 20. This won't have an immediate effect until I reload. That's a, you know, that's actually not even much. That's actually perfectly fine. We then want to drag everything over by a couple pixels. So we're going to take, and we'll just say that's 32. That'll work. Actually move these two. I need to make those not move as far. So we want to take a couple pixels off these. I'm going to have to, actually no, these will re-render. That's good. They're roughly centered, sorta. Probably need to work on that. I need to change the button size there. So these are some kind of setup here. Okay, there's our X, there's our Y. This is probably the X, so we're just gonna make these 20 by 20s because we'll replace these with icons is what will be replaced with. Oh, that's good. And it's far enough away, by the way, so leaving that gap there is actually pretty useful because you don't want to mistakenly hit the X button while trying to hit the fire button. Say you're panicking and your mouse goes a little bit to the side. There's enough of a gap there that you won't accidentally hit these. Okay. That's good. Not too bad. And we can put our refresh button up here. So we'll put our synchronize button up there. Let me go ahead and just copy that from the interface because I want to just use the same icon. I'll start adding tooltips eventually, that way this isn't confusing. Yeah, this is what we want. So we're going to put this here. Button. And we click that and they'll have some kind of action. So we'll go if button.id equals 0, then we'll make some kind of thing. So we'll go to do refresh connections. So we'll use that. So if you place this next to a silo, so you've got a couple silos next to each side and you hit refresh, it would auto connect to both of them. That way you don't have to manually connect it. So that'll work. And we'll put a couple more utility buttons on here too, like remove all, fire all. I need to figure out why these aren't working. Not seeing any bugs. You know what we need to also do is really quickly check to see if the fire works on all these. Don't want to do anti-grav. Cake missiles are always nice. By the way, when you're in creative mode, you can just instantly fill these without removing the item. It's really nice. I always try to add creative mode features like that. Okay. I didn't fire these last couple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. AA, save. BB, save. I'm just not realizing even if I'm putting this on here, there's actually nothing that tells me what these are named. Or at least they'll have a consistent name instead of a number. So, I'll probably put some text rendering on here later. Okay, so one of these is not working. And I think it's the last one. Yep, it's the last one. So that's weird. I'm not even getting a trigger off of it. So this needs to be ×3, I think. Yeah, that's still not going to change anything though. I don't think. Oh, we had a behavioral change off that. So ID is 10. Yeah. So that'd be index 4. That's not right at all. ID 0, which opens our GUI. ID 6, which is what exactly that button should be. ID 7, exactly what that button should be. ID 8, that's good. Okay, ID 9, that's good. ID 10. Something tells me this is off. Starting to get that impression. Okay, how many buttons we got? We got 6 buttons here. No, we have 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Huh. That is peculiar. Max number of launchers is 6. Then why are we only displaying 5? Because we're only linked with 5. That's probably why. We're going to make a new one of these, and we're going to relink. Okay. A, B, C, D, E. This should be F. Okay. Okay. We're looking good so far. And we got a nice, yeah, we got a nice size there. That's perfect, is what all the proportions are. So this should be 6. It is. And then this should be 11. It is. Okay, so those are good. Here an extra tile. Okay, those all worked. Look at the random distribution. At least we know the Gaussian is actually sort of working. It's just not very predictable. Which I guess is the point. It's not really meant to be predictable. Because in theory, how these get inaccuracies is based off of their flight time and stuff. Actually, that's how I probably should set the inaccuracies to be up. Shorter distances, less inaccuracy. And then I'll set other factors into that. So these all seem to be working. It's the, oh, the unlink button works. Oh, except for the last one. Okay. Why isn't the last one working? So we're going to put this here. I want to see what my ID is. Okay, so my ID should be, yeah, like 12. Which that if I go in here, that means my ID should be 0. Yep. Launcher data.size is empty. Okay, we'll try this again. Hit play. Click that button. I don't need the ID. The ID is good. It's actually spot on. It's this part. Launcher data is empty. Yet I'm guessing locations are not. Nope, launcher locations are empty too. Why does the GUI still think it has a tile? Probably because it doesn't, and it hasn't updated yet. Except it still thinks it does. So something messed up. And it's probably a packet data issue. So we need to look at the read packet. Because the write packet is probably good. No, it's actually, there is a problem there. So this needs to be removed. And this needs to be set up. This is probably a bug that's always been there and I've just never noticed it. Yeah, that should work. And it works. You got no link tiles. So we're done. That's pretty much it. We added more features to the GUI and cleaned it up a little bit there and good to go.